Well, I think the Taoiseach is a very nice man, Jonathan, but this is the second time now. He did it before Christmas as well, where he talked about getting threatening letters before Christmas on the abortion issue, and he made this comment last night, which, as you know, was all over the media yesterday, that the Taoiseach was getting abuse. And the two things that I noticed were there was no reference to the vast majority of decent, classy, concerned pro-life people who are utterly courteous. I like to think I try to be one of them. I don't know if I'm classy, but I certainly try to be courteous in pressing our case on best medical treatment for women and unborn children. And secondly, I haven't heard him complain about correspondence received on other issues. For example, the budget. And I can tell you as a politician, there isn't one of us in Leinster House that doesn't occasionally get unflattering or indeed insulting correspondence. It is part and package of the life of being a politician.
It is, absolutely. But do you not accept that the Taoiseach has probably, like many government politicians have and have highlighted, have received some pretty grim stuff in the post? It might be from extreme elements of the pro-life movement, but many TDs have received pictures in the post of aborted fetuses, have received very graphic documentation, have received quite threatening sentiments, if we can put it that way. That is probably what the Taoiseach is referring to, not the vast majority of the pro-life movement who would engage in rational argument, as you describe.
I think the Taoiseach is rattled, to be frank, that 25,000 people showed up on a cold January afternoon in Dublin, and he heard reasonable people like from the middle ground of Irish society like Mickey Hart say very clearly, this isn't about medical treatment for women to save their lives. We're all in favour of that. This is about the targeting of innocent unborn children, which the suicide proposal encompasses.
Ronan Mullen, that doesn't
That's what it's about.
That doesn't disprove that he got very offensive documentation, and that some of which made him out like Herod, as he described it himself. You have to accept that he could have received that, and that it would be distressing for him and anyone else to get it.
If the Taoiseach had said the vast majority of people, of course, are being perfectly sane and they're right to put their case, I'd be much more impressed. If he had said it as well on other issues, because it happens on all sorts of issues that you get nasty stuff from time to time. But it's either one of two things. Either this is, and I say this, the Taoiseach is a nice man, but I think that there may very well be people in his team who are saying, make pro-life people the issue and distract from the real issue of what you're proposing. And that way to do that is to take the most unpleasant thing that you've got in correspondence and make it sound like you're dealing with 25,000 loons, instead of, as I say, the people who were there that I saw Saturday. I was there, reasonable people, caring people,
do you think
people
that
concerned for women and children.
About the vast majority of people who were there on Saturday, and to be fair, it was a turnout that not many would have expected in such number. But at the same time, do you think he was referring to those people in the comments that he made, or was he obviously referring to an extremist element?
I think he's trying to make pro-life people the story, and that's either because he's extremely unusually sensitive for a politician, and we'd all need to man up in that situation if that was the case, or it's part of the strategy, which is to try and make pro-life people the issue. It doesn't, in fact, what I would have said before Christmas, and I did say it, is I think it's always unwise for politicians to draw attention to the worst correspondence they receive for two reasons. One, it's part of political life, unfortunately, and secondly, you're giving oxygen to people. It's a bit like when you have people behaving badly in the context of some proposal, and you have footage on TV of them doing it. Those people go home delighted because they've got their standard is now what's being publicly respected.
What do you make of those that send pictures of aborted fetuses in the post to our politicians?
I would utterly and always encourage people not to do that, and I don't think it happens very much, to be honest with you. But I think that if you make that the issue, and I don't hear many discussions in the media about the unpleasant correspondence that goes on other issues, and I think that in itself could be reflective of an agenda sometimes. So my point to the Taoiseach is stop trying to make pro-life people the issue. They are not. The vast majority of them are sincere and sensible people who want women fully protected in pregnancy, by the way, and it is your proposal, Taoiseach, that is targeting unborn children on the unmedical ground of threatened suicide. We heard at the hearing that there is no medical case for that, and you have the direct targeting of unborn life as a result. That's what people are worried about. That's why Lucinda Creighton is drafting an alternative bill, etc.
Okay, I don't have the time to go into the main issue of the debate, but when the Taoiseach says he's not in the business of liberalising abortion and he's not in the business of providing abortion on demand, do you think that is not going to satisfy anybody who turned up at that march on Saturday?
I think the Taoiseach, if it was left to him, he wouldn't want to liberalise abortion on demand, but he appears to be willing to contemplate doing it for political reasons. Once you allow a person to die on the basis of a threat by another person to commit suicide, you are opening a potentially very wide door, and you are doing something very unjust, and you are doing something, as we've heard, for which there's no medical basis. That's what people want. We all want to see women's lives protected, even when the child dies as a result, when it's unavoidable. But what is being proposed here is deeply unjust and very, very dangerous.
So you don't believe the Taoiseach then?
I think he should focus on the argument and stop playing the people.